Harriet Messenger is the General Manager of Marketing and Hospitality at Husk Distillers. Harriet has been responsible for building the Ink Gin and Husk Distillers brands from the ground up, a very hard job, and has been long known as the Ink Gin Girl. Harriet, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Tell us about the Australian agricultural rum that you produce and what's so unique about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is quite unique. I would definitely use that word to describe it. Agricultural rum is a quite unusual style of rum and not one that's widely made in the world. Basically, it's rum made from fresh crushed sugarcane instead of molasses. So it's made from sugarcane juice instead of molasses, and never been made in Australia before. Traditionally and historically, it's been made in the French Caribbean and in some other islands around that sort of part of the world, that beautiful part of the world. But we in Australia have traditionally made the English style molasses rum, so it's something quite unique. And the wonderful thing about it is you're working with a live product. So molasses is pretty much the same the world over, but sugarcane juice is reflective of the region, the climate of that season. You can use different strains and different cane varieties, and that's all reflected in the juice and then in the rum. So it's something quite different, quite unique, a lot more volatile to work with. So it's a lot harder to make a rum with sugarcane juice than it is to make it with molasses. But the end product ends up being something totally different and something that actually reflects the terroir and the provenance of the region that you're making the rum in, which is really exciting to us living in this beautiful part of the world.
Mm-hmm. What about the taste of it?
Yeah, the taste is also quite different. So we first tasted it when we were traveling through those French Caribbean islands, and it's a different style of rum and it's a different style of drinking rum. So I would liken it more to how we in Australia appreciate whiskey is how the French appreciate rum. So you drink it neat or on the rocks if it's a fine quality sipping rum. And in taste, it's different to molasses rum. It's more herbaceous. I would say it's more grassy and earthy. Herbaceous is a big one that I would use. A lot of molasses rums also have added sugar, and we don't add any sugar to our rum as well. So it's a lot more dry. And yeah, I think those are the key differences.
I love that word herbaceous. It's far too big for me at this time of the day. But anyway, tell us about your other unique products, spiced Bam Bam, Ink Gin and other gins that you produce. Love the spiced Bam Bam. Who thought of that name, by the way?
Yeah, that was quite a contentious name, actually. Dad thought of it. He's the creative mastermind of this whole operation. And everyone we asked, it was 50-50. People either hated it or loved it. But in the end, we went with our gut, and we really liked the name. It has a few different ideas. There's actually a Caribbean singer called, what's her name? Nancy somebody. And she sings a song basically called Bam Bam. And we were listening to that song a lot when we were making Spiced Bam Bam. So spiced, rum, Bam Bam, it just kind of fit together. But I'll actually talk about pure cane first. So pure cane is our unaged agricole. And the reason I'll talk about this first is because this is how our rums start. So, and this is probably, if you're trying to find out the difference between molasses rum and agricultural rum, I would start with an unaged spirit. Have a daiquiri with this and have a daiquiri with a molasses white rum, and you'll really clearly see the difference. But you'll taste the difference, you'll smell the difference. It smells like crushed sugarcane in the bottle, tastes really dry, really grassy, really herbaceous, and it's full of flavor. Whereas molasses rum is more refined and designed to be mixed seamlessly into cocktails. This rum is designed to pack as much flavor into the bottle as possible. Spiced Bam Bam then is this unaged product which comes straight from the paddock to the distillery, processed and then bottled. This Spiced Bam Bam is pure cane which has been aged for between 3 and 5 years in oak barrels. And that's where all that colour comes from. So if you can see,
looks fantastic.
Yeah, and that is 100% natural. It all comes from the wood. That was something I didn't know when we first started doing this. I didn't realise that colour in spirits, every single spirit comes off the still clear. It's what you do after that gives it a colour. So yeah, so the wood, and then after we age it, that really develops the rum and takes on a life of its own once it's in the barrel. We then empty the barrels and we infuse them with spices, whole native and traditional spices. And that's another quite different thing that we do with our rums that's quite unique, is that we actually use the whole botanical. So we don't use anything artificial. It's all natural. We don't use any essences. It's basically native ginger. Have beautiful gingers in Australia, so we use native ginger root. We've got some roasted wattle seed as well as hand-peeled oranges, and what else is there? There's vanilla and cinnamon quills as well, and we infuse all those botanicals into the rum for about 3 to 4 months. Then we take it out, filter it, and bottle it, and that is amazing on the rocks. All natural Australian native spiced rum.
What about foods? What foods go well with your drinks, and what is the best way to serve the rum? You mentioned on the rocks, but other ways, I mean, some additives maybe, such as a sort of a cocktail mix?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, pure cane, both of our rums are great just simply with ginger beer and lime, a light and stormy for the white rum, dark and stormy for the dark rum. In terms of cocktails, daiquiri would have to be for the white rum. Daiquiri is just one of the all-class cocktails. It's just lime, sugar, and rum, shaken and strained. It's just beautiful, beautifully balanced if you can do it right. So simple. And in terms of food, I would definitely look at kind of Caribbean style recipes. So think like barbecued chicken, that sort of thing. Seafood is lovely as well with the white rum. The dark rum, think more darker roasty things. Gin is an easy one for food, so we do our ink gin as well. The reason we do ink gin is because we can only make this type of agricultural rum during the sugarcane harvest, which runs for about 7 months here in the Tweed Valley. The rest of the year we weren't doing anything, so we decided we needed to do something. We didn't want to just sit on our hands the whole time, so we started tinkering with a gin recipe. Gin doesn't need to be aged, and we can make it year round. So we developed ink gin, which is a beautiful floral infusion, so you can see that colour there.
Magnificent, isn't it? And beautiful. It just looks gorgeous, and I can tell you what it tastes like. It's scrumptious.
You've done your homework.
Well I did. Some call it something else, but it was because I'm so professional. You see, we had to taste it.
I know you are. I've been saying that for years, and there should be more like you,
or less.
So the colour actually comes from a floral infusion. It's a butterfly pea flower infusion, and that's what we built that recipe around. It's got some native lemon myrtle leaves and other things, so it's quite a citrus-forward gin. And that one is amazing with any sort of seafood. So fresh prawns, oysters. We love doing a little gin and tonic jelly to go on the oysters. We think gin, fish, anything like that. It's just fantastic.
Amazing. Now, can you describe the distillery, where it is, the facilities, and why you think it's so special?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're in the Tweed Valley, which is the most northern shire on the coast of the New South Wales North Coast. So we're just north of Byron Shire and we're just south of the Gold Coast. So we're sandwiched in between two beautiful places. And in fact, this is one of the most beautiful places in Australia. I think it's absolutely stunning. The geology is defined by the Tweed Shield volcano, which is 23 million years ago exploded and created some of the best surf breaks in the country, from Byron Bay all the way up to Burleigh Heads. It created beautiful valleys and wonderful mountain ranges. So we've got fantastic geology here. Where the distillery, which is behind me here, is on a 150-acre family farm, my family farm, and we're right on the Tweed River. We've got Wollumben, which is the eroded core of the ancient volcano, overlooks us, which is quite stunning. And we've got a cattle and cane farm here. So the cane, of course, to make our rums. The cattle actually eat all the distillery waste, so it's quite a closed circle production style. So they eat all of the gin botanicals, they eat all the stillage from our rum production, and they're very important members of the recycling team here. And then we've got our distillery as well. So we've got lots of beautiful plantings around the distillery full of native species that kind of inspire the different botanicals we use in the spirits. We've got 12 hectares of remnant Gondwana rainforest out the back, which is home to some nice koalas and kangaroos and things like that, and some wonderful biodiverse flora as well, which again inspires what we choose to put into our spirits. So it's a great place to make spirits, particularly spirits that reflect the provenance of the region.
Well, you're very spiritual.
Some have called this place behind me the Church of the Holy Spirit, which I can't argue with, because it does rather look a little bit cathedral-y.
It does. It's beautiful, and after a few drinks, it looks even much better, I would imagine. Hey, we have an audience that's global. If somebody, say for example in the US or in Asia or somewhere, wanted to sample some of this product, is that possible, and how would they do it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're actually at the moment exporting to about 10 different countries with our ink gin. Our Husk Rums are harder to get on because they're hard to make. So there's more limited quantities and more limited bottles available. But we export to the UK and a few other countries through Europe and the Asia Pacific. There's a great website called Master of Malt, which delivers to most countries, and they have a few of our products on there. So Master of Malt, they deliver internationally. They're a good one for all your spirit needs.
COVID, how did that affect your distillery?
Yeah, it has certainly. It's affected, I guess, everybody. Nobody's been exempt from from this. In the beginning, we were able to pivot. The biggest bummer was that the hospitality side of the business had to shut down, which was quite devastating for the staff involved. But we did manage to redeploy all of our full timers into production of sanitizer, which was great for a month or so. Now we're open back up. Things are kind of trucking along. It's just, I think the biggest thing is just trying to adjust to the constant updates, the constant changes, and the constant restrictions that are being lifted and reimposed and lifted and reimposed. But overall, we're doing pretty well. We're lucky that we've got plenty of space, so it's easy to socially distance from people out here in the Tweed Valley.
But you because of the borders being closed and open and closed and open, and you mentioned the other restrictions, it's hard also to plan, isn't it?
It is, yes, it is. We're planning sort of contingencies and planning plans. So every plan has to have a few different contingencies. And it's a constantly evolving thing.
Harriet, lovely chatting, and all the best. And hopefully this terrible COVID thing will just disappear, and we can all waddle across the border and sip on a lovely gin.
Yeah, thank you so much, and look forward to speaking to you again soon.